It all feels so foreign. Sorry, Pete. It all feels so foreign. I'm not talking. Pete, stop it. I'm not talking. It's foreign.
It feels more foreign in this area than any other.
Right here?
Yeah.
It's like the gravity.
But like technically foreign, not like something doesn't belong.
Literally foreign.
Literally something feels foreign. Hey guys, welcome to the Valleycast.
Don't feel like watching movies, so I'll watch people guess them instead. I don't know how it goes, I think it starts with your show. Wanna laugh,
It's so weird. What a weird bit. Guys, welcome to the Valleycast. We're in the fucking office, dude.
Look at this.
Wow.
We built this thing like a year ago.
Yeah.
This is the first or second time, depending on release dates, where you've used it.
This is the inaugural.
Isn't that nice?
Did you make that?
Our friend Aaron Massey made it.
Yeah.
He's just like, hey, I'm gonna make this for you, and then he did.
That was the debut of Sperm Mike.
Yeah. This is Sperm Mike here.
And Sperm Mike has become an interesting character in the universe of the Valleyfolk.
It's kind of weird because we
anticipated.
stole that name from Mike Falzone.
Guys, welcome to the show. We have a very special guest today. We've got Peter Rollins.
Thank you for having me. I'm nervous. I haven't been in social environments for a while, so I've kind of forgotten how to do it, how to talk to people.
Yeah, us
Yeah.
too. It's
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
We were like, we don't know how to talk to each other. There's like very little eye contact, very little eye contact.
I want to keep it that way.
Very little eye contact right now. But
How are you doing, kid?
Yep.
great show. But this is awesome to have you here, dude, because we've had you on before.
Yeah.
And God, it must have been 7 years ago. Don't correct me.
About.
And
It was a long time ago.
it's great to have you back, man.
No,
what
thank
has
you.
happened since the last time we've had you? I guess a pandemic
Happened.
Yeah.
And every day's been like Groundhog Day, man. Nothing's going on. It's
I
just
know.
every day's the same.
I know.
So
I'm in the absolute pit of hell. I don't know about you, but I'm really in it. And but I'm loving being able to be back in an environment where I can share the room with other living beings.
yeah.
That's been really nice and different.
Do you feel like your hell is the same hell, worse hell, better hell?
it's a different hell.
Yeah.
It's like a different layer.
Different
like if
version?
there's 7 layers of hell.
Yeah.
Like a burrito.
Yeah, which part of the burrito are you in?
I guess I'm in the beans.
Well,
Pretty
depending
good.
how you make your burrito, I mean,
Yeah.
you could be in a very different level than
I feel like beans is like the last one, isn't it?
when you make a burrito.
The refried beans at
Well,
the
because
bottom.
like what you want to do with a burrito, and excuse me if anybody knows a different way, but I feel like the way to make a burrito is you drop down the tortilla down onto the fire.
Correct. I think we can all agree that that's like step one.
Grab a
tortilla.
Around the
and
campfire.
I'll
Yeah.
tell you what my family used to do with my
You're out in
grandma.
Montana in the woods.
Yeah.
Camping burritos all the time.
What my grandma and my mom do with tortillas is they just drop them right down onto the flame on the stove.
Just whap it.
Like you don't put it on a pan or anything like that.
I've never made one of these in my life.
Well,
before.
listen
Being
close.
from
then.
Ireland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you ever want to make one, you could
Yeah.
essentially.
I can tell you how to do shepherd's pie.
I would love to know how to make shepherd's
Jesus.
pie.
I
Are you
actually
kidding
don't
me?
know how to
You
make
just
a
put the
shepherd's
pie
pie.
directly on the flame.
Right there.
You don't-
So you don't know how?
No.
Guess what? I
Well,
do. I made one.
a shepherd's
for
pie?
Thanksgiving. Yeah.
Nice.
Was that the Taco Bell
Yeah.
shepherd's pie?
Yeah. Which I'm assuming is the same. But I would feel like, and I won't go through the whole process. I don't want to bore you guys, but I would feel like after you heat that tortilla up, you pull her off of the flame.
Pull it right off that flame and you put it down.
You put her down on a plate,
Yep,
maybe,
yep.
and then you spread the beans on the burrito, like on the tortilla.
Technically
like you get
making
some
it the first
refried-
inside layer.
That's what I'm saying. Like I think you wanna drop them beans down. You wanna plop them down onto the hot tortilla, and then you wanna spread them with a spoon or something.
I hope this is a sponsored bit. I guess it'd
Absolutely
be
not.
amazing if you're being sponsored by
Well,
Taco
absolutely
Bell.
not.
You gotta wait till we get to the third layer where
Okay.
it's MeUndies.
Because I want to.
and then liquid IV. You put powder it all over.
Micromodal fiber on the beans.
Yeah. But the beans act as kind of like a glue, if you will, and you could drop the cheese down on it, and you can and it'll all stick to the beans.
Well, Stephen, if we're talking about your hell metaphor in regards to
Yeah,
your
yeah.
burrito that you are currently making with us on this podcast live
Yeah.
from the Valleyfolk office.
yeah.
In front of a studio audience.
With the
Kevin's here too.
Yeah. you're not that deep in your hell, man. You're in layer 1, so now I don't feel bad for you no more.
Yep. Get over it.
Yeah,
Get over it.
I mean, I think I misspoke, but yeah, you get it though.
Yeah.
Yeah. The beans are thick.
Beans are thick.
You're in a thick hell.
Yeah, but Peter, how have you been handling the pandemic and things like that? Like you've been working and things.
Just a lot of online stuff, a lot of sitting around reading.
Yeah.
Not very much.
I have a question, Pete. How do you think we've been handling it?
Start with me.
Yeah. How am I doing?
Yeah, I'm taking notes.
Yeah. You know what's weird? Because this is the first time we've done this in like a year and a half. I'm so used to looking at a computer screen, and now I'm just looking at nothing. And it's really, I feel like
just
I'm like
staring ahead.
Yeah. Just don't look at him.
I think I'm the only one making eye contact.
Yeah.
I've been making eye contact with you.
Yeah. It's been nice.
We're done with
A bit flirtatious.
Feels great. Yeah.
it's
That's
like-
what I want.
Yeah.
It's really what I want. But I just feel like if you're in a pandemic and you're a smarty pants like you are, you definitely like swallow up a lot of books probably,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
did you ingest more books than you normally
Probably
do?
did, yeah. That was it. I mean, because I'm pretty reclusive anyway for the first 6 months. Not a problem.
Yeah.
And then
You didn't know there was a pandemic.
Yeah. It was a surprise.
January. Yeah.
It was literally only a few months ago where I was like, even I started to feel it. I was like, okay, if I'm starting to feel it, my extra friends must be going crazy.
I think everybody kind of like went through that phase of like, this is actually not as bad as I thought it would be, because it's nice to kind of like have a very good reason to not go anywhere and do anything. But then, yeah, you're right. Like even for me, like I'm not like a bar hopper kind of guy. I don't like party all night or whatever. I'll just be at home watching movies and shit. So I was just like you. I was like really okay with it for like 6 months, maybe.
Yes.
You were, yeah, I remember that. You were down with it.
Yeah.
You were very okay.
I was out on my balcony screaming at people with my microphone, and I was like really enjoying it. And then I hit a wall. And I think everybody did, even the most reclusive people.
Yep.
It's just like nobody was fucking ready for this. And you think about how through history, there's certainly been other kind of like, plagues and diseases and things that have ravaged towns.
The dance plague of 1987.
That's right. We know all about it. That's right. But which was terrible because people couldn't stop.
They couldn't stop.
They
dancing.
couldn't. Yeah.
Until they died.
It was contagious.
Yeah. You stopped dancing when you died.
Right.
Right there on the dance floor.
But like a lot of people talk about how like this pandemic has been like the hardest thing humans have had to deal with in like a really long time.
Ever.
Yeah, ever. In a really long time. Like especially like even in our lifetimes, like in some would say. What are your thoughts on that? Like do you feel like it truly is for the books?
Yeah, it's a biggie. I mean, I grew up during the war, so that was pretty bad, but that wasn't worldwide. So that was only a little conflict in a little spot,
Right.
Little neighborhood war.
Little neighborhood war.
30-year neighborhood war.
Yeah, like they called it
Shirts
the
and
Troubles.
skins.
It was a nice little downplay it. You just call it, it's the Troubles. Just the Troubles.
It was the McGillicuddies and the O'Briens.
Yeah,
they were at each other's throats.
the great dance battle of 1988.
Right. But like, do you feel like this? Like, we certainly as a society weren't prepared for this type of like. Not only the fact that it's a physically affecting disease, but like psychologically, the way people have handled this.
Yeah, it's driving people's anxieties through the roof because it's very.
No, it's not. Oh. Sorry. Don't make eye contact.
Yeah, don't make eye contact.
Look at the table.
Yeah. But yeah, we kind of we're not hanging out with different types of people. We're kind of more and more excluded from the other, and then we become more and more sterile in our environments, and then that's not good for society.
No.
Like the less that you're rubbing up against people with different personality types, with different views of the world, that kind of stuff, the less you do that, the less you can tolerate conflict, and the less you can tolerate conflict, the more war is around the corner.
Right. And then you combine that with what was supposed to be the great, democracy of information and the way it was provided with the internet. And instead of everybody using that to expand their mind, they're using it to even further dive deeper into the corners that you're talking about. Like that's where you would think that during a pandemic where we're not rubbing shoulders, you would still have the ability to do so. We don't do that. And we just saw that, man, that's the other thing is that we backed it up against like the most like tribalistic American political battle ever.
Yeah.
And you put that with the pandemic, and we're just in a shit show of seclusion.
Yeah, it's also like if you want to seek out other opinions on the internet, you have to go to where all of those people are at once, like because it's all the groups are in different areas. But like in real life, you just meet people out in the world, and they end up you realize that they're different from you, and then you can
but
go
also
through life.
similar at the same time.
You don't walk into clubs of different like completely opposing political ideologies in like the real world, and so you can't find. I don't know how you would find on the internet just like bumping up against an individual.
Yeah, just like you do in a bar where you just rub up against somebody who thinks differently.
Not
well, have you ever tried VR? I mean, it's close.
Is that right?
It's close.
Actually, you did. You got a VR.
I did get a VR thing, and I did it for a while, but I haven't done it for ages.
But you have the PS one. You need the Oculus, I think.
No, I've got the Oculus.
You do have the
Oculus.
Oculus.
I've got the Oculus.
Oh man, I would love to know what your brain thinks about stuff like VR chat.
Oh yeah.
Let's do that. But real quick tangent. Pete, for those that are listening that may not know you, can you just give the quick like elevator pitch of who you be and all that jazz?
Yeah.
Real quick.
My name is Pete.
Great.
I'm from Northern Ireland, Belfast, and trained in philosophy, and I guess I'm a writer, public speaker, and I do a podcast with Elliot Morgan called The Fundamentalists.
Great podcast.
There
Great
you
podcast.
go.
Great note to end on. Actually, that's the most important part. Good that you saved it for the end. Yeah.
What does a philosophizer think about the VR world?
Yeah.
Like and kind of like the escapism, I guess, and that.
Yeah, I mean, so one thing is, I think a lot of tech is like purity culture in secular form. So we human beings are always obsessed with what to do with dirt, right from the beginning. Get rid of excrement, but even dirty other people, dirty. So we're obsessed with purity cultures, and in a secular world, the idea of tech where you can have very clinical spaces where you can just hang around with people who are the same as you and not necessarily engage with people who are different. So you can have this type of secular purity culture. So that's my concern. That's why you look at sci-fi movies, they're always very sterile environments.
Yeah.
Because you know that what tech is kind of offering you is, I can give you an environment where you're just around people like you, where we get rid of the toxicity of the world.
Right.
And that's kind of beautiful and nice, but if that's the only thing we have and we're not rubbing up against people who are different, it might be bad.
Yeah, those edges just become sharper. So once you do bump into them, like they're going to cut more because you're not able to tolerate them. You haven't built up an immunity to different people and different personalities and different perspectives.
And also, like, not everybody has access to like the VR world either. And like when I've gone into like public VR forums, it's like madness. It's just like VR chat is bonkers.
But because when you're in that, you have an avatar.
Yeah.
And you're being a person.
Yeah. Because you can be like Peter Griffin from fucking Family Guy. You could be something that looks like you as close as possible.
Sexy Kermit.
Yeah.
You could be a sexy Kermit, which we've certainly seen to our chagrin. But like, it's just madness. It's like really this place where like nerds, I guess, are all kind of like, there's no filter. They're still hiding behind a screen, but they're like, there's still some sort of like presence.
Yeah.
Which is so interesting.
I mean, that's the difference. So in whenever you've got less of a mask, you actually wear more of a mask. So whenever on Facebook or something where people know it's you, you're more likely to put up a persona. But when you've got a mask on, you're more likely not to wear a mask, as in to show some of your opinions and thoughts and desires that you would otherwise hide. So ironically, Facebook is less real than something like a Second Life. I don't know if that still exists.
Yeah.
Have you watched The Circle on Netflix?
No.
I just watched like 20 minutes of it last night for the first time, and it's a show that's a social media experiment where people can choose to either be themselves or be like an avatar.
Oh, yeah.
It's exactly that. It's
And like catfish and shit.
yeah, and then they're all, I guess, living in the same area, and it's like this closed network of people, and they can kind of like, I don't know, I haven't watched much
Dating
of it,
show though, right? Like they're trying to.
Yeah, I think they're trying
to. It's all things. It's like dating and it's like popularity.
Yeah, it's almost like a Survivor. There's like a strategy to it, and they're trying to like gain everyone's favor.
Never seen it, and
The best way I've heard it described is it's like its own like physical social media building, and it's like everyone in it is trying to like be the top social media person. And it's like really everyone's voting on each other, and you have these conversations with each other, and like you'll wake up like basically these contestants, they all sleep in the same like apartment building. They all live in different apartments. And every morning they get like an assignment or something.
Is this a TV show?
It's a TV show. It's on Netflix.
And it's called The Circle. Or
The Circle. Yeah.
Okay.
And every room has like a camera up in the corner and shit. And so you're being watched at all times, essentially. And while you're in there, you'll get something that's like, you have to talk to Danny now. And it's like, who the fuck is Danny?
What's a Danny?
And then on the TV screen, like a thing will open up almost like you're doing a Zoom call, but you don't see them ever. You never get to see the person you're communicating with. So it's really based on creating characters and kind of like, some people are being themselves, but other people like pretended to be, like there was this man who pretended to be a woman who like got one of the guys to fall in love with them based off of just their personality and shit. And then like,
did they work out?
No, because the person was absolutely shocked that it wasn't a woman at the end of the thing. No spoilers, like but you don't know who, because there's several people who do it.
I'd be like, yo, I'm Burt Reynolds, and I'd just be Burt Reynolds the whole time.
Yeah, I mean,
and the truth is, that's
really
that's the more truthful. Like, so in the same way, you're more yourself in your dreams, and you're less yourself when you're awake. Because when you're awake, you're pretending to be Steve,
right.
and you're acting. But when you're in your dreams, all of your anxieties and desires are flowing. So in the same way, if someone pretends to be a woman, there's something in them that wants to do that. So that's more truthful than who they are.
Right.
I'm going to read you a text that I sent the boys today.
Hey guys, it's me, Joe, a woman.
You were to refer to me as the woman now.
Unprompted, I sent this to the boys today. I just want to get your opinion on it. Just go ahead and analyze me. I had a dream last night that I was a girl and started fooling around with Cicely Strong from SNL after feeling very strong crush on you feelings for her. It wasn't vulgar fooling around. It was sweet. It was like a Christmas dream come true.
You shouldn't do this.
Cut this part out.
Yeah. For Joe's sake.
What's going on in my brain?
Yeah, so you're deeply perverted.
Well, we knew that.
Yeah.
We already knew that.
You're
No,
having
it was
a psychotic
innocent.
break.
It was like, it was innocent.
So yeah, so you were a woman, and who's this other woman?
She's a comedian on SNL,
Right.
who in everyday life I don't find an attraction to.
Yeah, and you were you said it, fooling around. Is
Fooling
that the
around.
word? Fooling
Yeah,
around.
yeah.
And you said
You
had
like
a
making
crush
out
on-
and
Yeah,
like
yeah,
hand
like making
stuff?
out, maybe some hand stuff.
Do it to
Okay.
Steve.
Hand in the pants type
Kind
stuff?
of like actually, she was like on top of me, and I was kind of like rubbing her back.
Oh,
a little
that's
bit.
nice.
Not
Oh,
like
okay.
we're kissing, like again, it was like young love. It
Yeah.
had that energy.
Would you like to write for SNL or do
Maybe
you
when
have
I was
any-
younger.
And you were a girl. Right, okay, let me think about that.
Yeah,
I'll
we'll
tell you.
get you back on the
Oh,
podcast.
okay.
Feel free in the comments to let me know what's going on in my brain.
Yeah, I feel like going back to kind of like VR and stuff like that, and kind of like the hiding behind masks and the computer screens and shit. It was like it was interesting to have access to VR during the pandemic, because it was like, you know, we were afraid. A lot of us were afraid to be in the same room with each other. Like, not just because we didn't want to get COVID, but we don't want to pass it around and shit.
Yeah.
So, you know, we were like fully isolated. But VR like took us into like another virtual environment where me and my friends started to like hang out in a VR movie theater and watch movies together. Yeah. And it was like a good substitute for like being out in the real world.
Well, do you think that it can be used in a way to meet people who are different and to rub up against difference and to basically have some sort of conflict, or is it too easy to blank people or shut people out? Or
I mean, I think it could be once because now it's more accessible than ever before.
Yeah.
Like the Oculus Quest is like a super prosumer product, like, and it's pretty affordable for what it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't require a computer. It's literally its own self-contained machine.
yeah, I went out and bought it, and it was like, I think I got the whole thing. It was $200 or
Yeah,
something,
exactly.
and you don't need anything.
Exactly.
It's just
It's
Wonderful.
wireless.
Changed
it's like
the game.
Really a game changer. So the fact that it's like more accessible now makes me feel like we'll see, because it's interesting. It's hard to tell what the future of VR really specifically is, because even though it's becoming more accessible, there are a lot of people I know that are like, I have no interest in VR at all. I don't want that. Like,
Yeah.
and so I think that could really hinder the kind of like melting pot of personalities
I think
and stuff.
the problem is, it's the same problem with the internet that we were talking about, is that it takes effort to want to find that. So if you were to use it and there's the ability to go find that conflict, the thing about conflict is that you want to avoid it at all costs, and it takes such a deep understanding of yourself and a willingness to learn and grow through those interactions that it's effort, and it's a lot of effort to seek that out and then be self-reflective enough to not react to it and learn from it. So what we're talking about is a chore in VR. So I think the answer is no. Nobody will use it for that at all.
I think
ever.
not. I mean, I don't know about ever, but
I mean, the general population will not.
yeah. I mean, the thing
they
is
do
like you.
not.
But what you hear in the tech world is that like the VR technology is certainly catching on. There's certainly
Joe's pretty upset.
Sorry, Joe.
They won't.
The VR technology
They
is
won't. None of them ever. I know this. It's a fact.
We've had the internet for 77 years now. We don't do it.
like in the gaming world, VR is like kind of the logical next step.
Yeah.
Especially once it gets like more advanced and more like accessible.
Because my eyes get a little bit sore in it.
That's the thing. I mean, there's a lot of fatigue.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like, it's uncomfortable after a certain amount of time. You're like sweating in there and your eyes get strained. There's still a lot of issues with it. But I think that like the rumors are that like Apple is developing like AR VR technology, which would essentially be like this, my glasses. And it would like have AR and VR technology built into it.
So what Google Glass was promising back in 2012.
Exactly. But there's the technology is
I saw it.
Did you hit the mic?
it's a new mic.
We haven't been around each other. It's fine.
It's like it's right. The technology is apparently there for like good AR VR, but I just think that once Apple, which is essentially like, you know, the prosumer electronics company of our lifetime, like I think once they are like, here's a cool thing you need, then more people will probably adopt it. And then the possibilities are endless after that.
Yeah.
Like if people can like the way you're looking at your room right now, this room right now, or wherever you are, listeners, imagine being able to pull up your fucking Twitter feed in your same field of vision.
That sounds horrible.
Nightmare.
I hate Twitter.
I mean, yeah. It sounds like a nightmare to a lot of people, but for people that you use it as a business tool or whatever,
No, totally.
it's
Still
like
a nightmare.
It's like this is not far off technology.
Yeah.
Which makes me feel like that will open the door to like, I don't know, like I mean, you could essentially turn an incredibly blank apartment into like an amazingly styled
Listen, you can have your own
place.
artwork. I mean, I've thought about this. If I had AR, you can have a blank, because I have a very blank apartment, but I
Yeah.
could put up the artwork that I want and change it all the time.
Exactly.
And you could basically have a gallery
Dude,
in your
you could
apartment.
bring people over and go like, oh, here, check out my NFT wall, and you could have like a wall of all of your NFTs, and like you could have like animated
$6
GIFs.
million in debt. Check out my NFT.
Also,
wall.
like, oh, let's go to my home theater, and you go into another room, and it's literally like a gigantic ArcLight dome theater in a white room, essentially.
See, what's happened? What was only for the rich in the past becomes accessible to everybody. Like the idea of having a theater in your house is something only wealthy
extravagant.
people. Yeah, but now with VR you can. I have a friend.
You
who's
guys
wealthy.
don't have those in
Shut your mouth.
But I have a friend he's wealthy, and he has a room about this size in his house.
Doesn't sound very wealthy, but in this size.
I know, am I right?
Impressive, isn't it?
What
What is he in New York?
Tell us more about your poor friend, Peter.
Does he have a Venmo? I think I can send him $20 if he needs dinner tonight.
Oh God, I feel just leave it there.
Yeah, but I think
No, it's a room this size, but it had this machine in it, like HAL, and at the time when he bought it, it would give you all the videos that were around at the time that would go onto his TV set. So it was basically Netflix before Netflix.
Holy shit.
But about a year after, he spent a shit ton of money on this HAL system.
Yeah.
You know, something like Netflix comes out for $10.
Netflix time. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's completely
So, like,
not cool.
It's
So what was
obsolete,
only
yeah.
for the wealthy is now for everybody. So yeah, that it opens up like having incredible.
And I think that's where like you'll have the mix, because I mean like the idea is that like if you can create your environment into anything you want it to be, conceivably with AR VR technology that'll be as easy as like putting on a pair of glasses, then you'd have like all sorts of fucking people in the virtual world with access to that, which I think like starts to take us into the territory of like Ready Player One, kind of, where you're like, why do I want to be in this disgusting world of war and like, you know, political bullshit if I can go to this place where like all my friends are, we can watch movies, we can like play basketball, we can do whatever the hell we want in an environment we created for ourselves.
Nope. See, but my only worry is that the more we go to, because, and by the way, this is always what wealth has done. The wealthier you are, you go to private clubs where you're hang out with people like you have bigger houses, so you're further away. So with money comes more purity culture, more, you know, trying to remove yourself from conflict.
Well, the dirty people, get them away.
Yes, it's kind of like always seeing the
I don't want to be hanging out with poor people.
Did you guys ever notice that the word dirt isn't dirty? I mean,
right there. Get it out.
That's so interesting. It's something we don't really think about. That like you're right. You really kind of like, even with Twitter. Yeah. Like you are curating a world that only you see, of shit that only you want to see. And if there's something you don't like there, you literally just kick it out of your vision and you'll never see it again.
And it's encouraged. People are
it's
like,
encouraged.
oh, don't look at anything you don't like. I mean, my goodness.
I'll block
And
whatever
like,
I want to block. Block Friday, what?
Yeah, now if anybody mentions Friday, I'm never going to see it. I'll never know Friday exists.
And the problem is, the more you exclude it, it actually means that you'll see the other as more dangerous. So the more you exclude the other, the more they become a monster, and then the more you become a monster. So Nietzsche says, beware not becoming the monster that you see in the other. So that's the only worry, is that if we create these very sterile antiseptic spaces, and I think COVID has helped psychologically to make us more susceptible to sterility.
Totally.
Airborne dirty.
Yeah, I think then actually war is like real conflict is kind of eventually erupts.
Sure.
If you can't have healthy conflict, it'll come up in unhealthy ways.
I mean, we're on the cusp of it in just our own country.
It kind of feels like the big one.
Yeah.
Like you keep talking about the big one, the big earthquake. And it's like, when is it going to happen?
But I think COVID has been partly, like, it's been a perfect storm of things, and COVID, I think, has helped exacerbate the conflicts and the difference.
100%,
And that could be the real tragedy of COVID, is not the people who died of COVID, which is tragic, which is horrible, but potentially conflicts that arise out of our inability to tolerate each other.
I can't even have small talk.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I mean, I don't even know where the conflict. I mean, the conflict won't go well. I definitely I can barely keep up with just regular conversations. Even now, I don't know how to end this sentence. Land this plane.
I kind of want to go back a little bit to the curating your own environment kind of thing, because it's interesting to me, because I've always felt like an outcast. I've always felt like I'm not like my family. I'm not like my friends.
That's because nobody likes you.
Right.
And your family is really fucking cool. Dude, they're so cool and you're not. Your fucking mom can,
if there's ever been
so
any
good
doubt,
at soccer.
I mean, your family are fantastic.
Yes.
Like, I don't know where they went wrong with you. Yeah.
I think I just rebelled so hard against what they were doing. It pushed me into the realm of like weird shit. But like, I remember thinking like, I wanted so desperately to find my people, you know, like I wanted to fit in. I wanted to find people that liked all the same shit I liked and watched all the same shit and listened to all the same shit. And it's like, even when I ended up finding those people, there was still like, it's still an impossibility to find people that think exactly the way you do.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's like, how much of a worry is it? Because I feel like there has been a need, and it's certainly been fulfilled in our day, in our age, to find your people.
Yeah.
And like, but
Church.
Right. Like church, exactly. Like church, whatever. A lot of these places like have people that are like-minded, and you could join in with those people.
Bars.
But like, but I still think it's impossible to like, I mean, I guess you certainly, if you like a certain type of thing that's like potentially dangerous or potentially excludes people.
Church.
Yeah. Yes. That's where it starts to become
guys.
Yeah.
a problem.
Yeah.
But do you think that there are ways to find your core people, live and be with them, surround yourselves with them, and still be able to live like a normally kind of like acceptable life?
Yeah.
Fucking fix everything, Pete. Let's go.
Here we go.
Listen up, everybody.
Well, I mean, back in Ireland, we set up 2 groups that were designed to gamify encountering others who you don't like. So one was called The Last Supper. It was based, do you remember, you'll know this because you're a culture guy.
Yeah.
Do you know the movie
Just say nerd.
The Last Supper? Do you remember this?
Yeah, oh yeah.
With Cameron Diaz?
Yeah, but like I know, I remember it, but I don't think I saw it.
Yeah. It's an old movie, but this is based on that movie.
Okay.
Where these students, somebody crashed their car and they brought the person in. Turns out that they were really, say, racist or something, and they ended up killing him. And then they set up a society called The Last Supper, where they would invite a guest, and if they didn't like the guest, they would poison the guest and bury them in the back garden.
Holy shit.
So I have this group, and it was
a fun
12
game.
Yeah, it was great. So 12 of us would meet.
This is
once
another
a
thing
month.
rich people do.
Yeah. And then we would hunt people sometimes.
Which is totally legal in some places, okay?
In Northern Ireland, it's
I
totally
don't want to
allowed.
see any emails.
It was very humane. No,
They were sick already.
We poisoned them. So
Yeah.
they were sick.
They weren't fit for our society.
We would have a group, invite someone who had different opinions politically or culturally or whatever to most of the people in the room. And over the starter, they would say what they thought. Over the main course, we'd have a discussion. And then in dessert, there'd be a
And
Q&A.
then what?
Yeah, but then if we didn't like...
This is like werewolf,
Where's this
kind of.
go?
Or like mafia. Like
Yeah.
mafia or werewolf. Yeah.
It's all right. But no orgies or death at the end. But
I'm out!
Yes, but we would at the end go, do we think this person is their last supper? But it was designed for us to continually once a month enjoy being in the company of someone different.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's like, so do you think, I feel like that's a practice that people could adopt in their lives.
Yes.
Like, let's like invite a friend that's like totally opposite of us, or just blindly someone that is a friend of a friend or something, and just see if they fit with the group, sort of.
And have fun with it, because it's also, because it's called The Last Supper, you're saying that person is Jesus. So psychologically there, and you go like, you know what we did with him? We crucified him.
Right.
You're kind of both saying, you're the bringer of truth tonight, and we are going to listen, and also we may kill you because we might be intolerant. So it's all of that, and you have a nice meal together. You know?
Right.
And then we had another group called the Evangelism Project, where we would go to other groups to be evangelized by them. So we would go to everything from the Scientologists to the Islamic Society to the Humanists or whatever, and but the evangelism.
Who sucked the most?
Oh, they were all great. Oh, so much.
cool.
I'm trying to think what the worst
They're probably
was.
not much different than each other.
The dick kickers.
Right?
The dick
You
kickers
didn't like the
were
dick
painful.
kickers.
That was tough.
Yeah, no,
I wanna know about the
Passionate. Passionate.
Man, they were really good at it.
And the Ferengis, I want to know about them.
Yeah, but the evangelism didn't happen when they told us about them. It happened when we said, what do we look like to you? Because the only way we can be transformed is when we see ourselves through the eyes of another. Because I think I'm normal. I think you're a weirdo and I'm normal.
Right.
But then I see myself through your eyes and I go, no, I am a weirdo, right? So I need your eyes to see myself. So again, that was to gamify,
Interesting.
you know, that experience of the other.
Do you feel like you got true, like, result? Like, can people be truthful about that? Like, can someone like that doesn't know you be like, this is the kind of person you are to me, and be truthful?
Yeah, you know, it sometimes work better than others. But yeah, we went to the Islamic Society, I remember once, and then seeing what it was like for that group in Northern Ireland, and you know, looking at us, that was very insightful. Like, we kind of saw ourselves in a new light, and we're like, okay, so yeah, there were times when it definitely helped you see things that you wouldn't otherwise see. You know, it's like you're making this plastic bottle and you don't know it's creating pollution hundreds of miles away until the people hundreds of miles away say, that's creating pollution. Right. And then, you're like, oh, shit, okay.
Right. Right.
So,
and even though that, you don't do anything about it.
Yeah, and that's the other thing,
When you say we, who's your group? Are you guys are you philosophers?
The Scientologists.
And we'll be right back.
Hello, everybody. Today's episode of the Valleycast is sponsored by Chime. Here's a thought. When it comes to your banking, you want to have a relationship with your bank that is one that is full of love and encouragement and is healthy. You don't want one of those unhealthy bank relationships where they take advantage of you and your money. You want to have a good relationship that works with you, not against you. And also you want it to be convenient, and that's why we're talking about Chime. Chime is an award-winning app and debit card with no hidden fees or monthly minimums. After all, you earned your money, you deserve to keep it and not give it to old Pansy Moneybags McGee. You guys, Chime is great. It's got stuff like this: a fee-free overdraft on up to $100 in debit purchases with SpotMe. It's like overdraft protection, but better. So don't overdraft. You should avoid that 100%. Never do that on purpose, but mistakes happen. If that does happen, you got SpotMe to help you out with it. You get your paycheck, benefits, stimulus check, and tax return up to 2 days earlier with direct deposit, which is dope. There's also no hidden fees or monthly minimums, plus 38,000 fee-free ATMs with MoneyPass and Visa Plus Alliance. Turn on alerts that let you know when your card is being used and instantly block your card if something seems fishy, which, I don't know if it's ever happened to you, is the most stressful, worst dang thing that can ever happen. Ever. So if you have Chime working with you to just shut it down when things get fishy, that's great. That's a good relationship with your bank. Save on autopilot when you sign up for a Chime spending account. You can enroll in an optional savings account and grow your savings automatically with 0.50% annual percentage yield. 10 times. Did you hear me? 10 times the national average. That's dope! So, everybody, if you're interested, which you should be, join the millions on Chime. Sign up takes 2 minutes and doesn't affect your credit score. That's another point on the That's Dope scale. Tally board, dope board. Apply now at chime.com/valleycast. That's chime.com/valleycast. And now I get to do the fun, fast disclosure guide part. Here we go. Chime is a financial technology company. Banking services provided by the Bancorp Bank or Stride Bank NA. Members FDIC. Eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Overdraft only applies to debit card purchases. Limits start at $20 and may be increased up to $100 by Chime. Early direct deposit depends on the payer. Out-of-network cash withdrawal fees apply. Third-party and cash deposit fees may apply. Go to chime.com/valleycast for details. Back to the cast!
This week we're brought to you by Scientology.
Dianetics.
Kicking a dick with truth. But like philosophers, intellectuals, just a group of friends that were just like, fuck it, let's try this.
A lot of it was friends, and then I did it officially when I was at university. So I would, as Steve, you were saying, it's like this was a practice. I said, like, if we want to be kind of improve ourselves, I call them decentering practices. Because you're decentered, you're destabilized, and so I set up these.
Most people probably can't handle that.
Except when it's funny because we don't like it, but except whenever but as soon as you kind of actually
no phones.
I know that was
no
me.
phones.
I apologize. That was.
I
was hoping you didn't hurt that.
Hold on, Elliot. Look here.
I used to be a dick kicker for a really long time.
Look here.
And
Focus on the fingers. Focus on the fingers.
Thank you.
Focus on the fingers. Count to 5.
5, 4, 2.
Okay.
Yes.
One,
Close.
two,
Close.
three,
Close
four,
enough. Close
five.
enough. Close enough. Sorry.
No phones.
Oh, good.
Oh, well, okay.
Put it on the ground. This is perfect.
Let's see here.
Okay,
oh, that's nice. I got to mention a new story. That's
no
really
phones,
nice.
people.
That's really, really nice.
We're having fun.
Decentering practices. We don't like it, but then when you say it, you realize, like, everything, like in terms of Copernicus says we're not the center of the galaxy or the center of this galaxy, solar system. Thank you. That was
my Copernicus.
That kind of is a whole development in science. With Freud, that we're not the center of our consciousness was a whole development for us in terms of our understanding of ourselves. Darwin, we're not the center of the biological systems. all of these decentering experiences are where we really grew as species. So as soon as people start to go, oh yes, in decentering that really I can really develop as a person, then people kind of get excited about it.
Damn, I guess that is kind of cool because we do live in our little bubbles, and
yeah, it goes back to what we were talking about with VR and the internet, though.
Yeah.
Is that you guys put an extraordinary amount of curiosity and effort into that practice to make it happen, and you went on a journey of uncomfortability.
Yes.
And that takes like effort and a deep thinking and a deep understanding of yourself to want more. And that's the hurdle we have to get over as people to get them to understand what you're talking about right now, which is it's rewarding and god dang, kind of fucking fun.
It's fun. It's fun. It's the best times in life or whenever you meet. It's fun when you meet someone who thinks like you. There's that beautiful kindred spirit. But there are those times you meet someone who's very different from you, and it's even more fun. It's more exciting, and they question you and they challenge you, and you do it with them. Yeah, that's the most enriching.
That's why we keep Kevin around.
Yep.
He's so different. It's so fucking weird. It's just fascinating.
It's just fun to just sit and watch him sometimes.
What's he doing
gonna
now?
do? Yeah.
I've never seen anyone eat a Nature Valley bar like that. With wrapper
One bite
and all.
sideways.
Right through the wrapper. His body can handle it. No, that's good. Like, yeah, Joe, you're on the right track with how this is like a really good thing because, man, I certainly am always on the search for like more, you know, like more information, more answers. And it's like the only way to really get it is to like delve into something new.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to do that because we're distracted by all of the things that are comfortable and monotonous and like make us feel normal.
Yeah.
And it's I'm glad people like you exist that are like, yeah, but we have to break out of the bubble if we want to like learn anything about what we are. And it's so funny how there are people that dedicate their lives to that and there's still so fucking much we don't know.
Yeah.
It's crazy. They dedicate their lives to it and barely we learn like a tiny little new thing.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating and exciting at the same time.
Yeah. Well, we find it so hard to deal with difference. So whenever I encounter something that's different, I either want to
Like a Kevin.
Like a Kevin. When I encounter Kevin, I either want to consume him, not sexually, but like take you into my social body and make him think like I do. So that's a consumption. So your difference is then metabolized into my social system. Or if I can't do that, I want to vomit you out. So I want to exclude you from my social body.
I'll choose that one.
Yeah.
I had to do that during the pandemic to a few people. Exclude them from my social body.
Or even worse is where I go, oh, you know, beneath all of our differences, we're all the same. Because that you can kind of cover over a lot. But the thing that I really like is when you realize that it's not that your otherness that I'm afraid of. It's my otherness that I'm afraid of. And if I hang around with you long enough, as I say, I start to see myself through your eyes and I realize that I am other to myself. And that's what anxiety is. Anxiety is not, I'm scared of you or what you're going to say. It's like, what do I look like to you? That's what anxiety is. What am I like? It's where I see myself and I realize that my political and religious and cultural views are all a bit weird. I'm the outsider, as you said. I'm the trash of the world.
Foreigner.
I'm the foreigner. Right? Yeah, I'm the alien. And that's terrifying. But that's also an incredible experience of experiencing yourself in a destabilized way.
Yeah. Wow.
What
Let's pray.
I think it is about that time.
What are some this question may not have an answer, but do you have any suggestions? Let's say we have inspired a couple people with this conversation. They want to go, I want to destabilize myself.
I want to know more.
I want to challenge myself to step out of the box that is me.
See myself.
Some things feel bigger than others. Not a lot of people are going to be like, hey, guy from a different religion, come have dinner with me. What are some small baby steps that you would suggest to people that are curious about curiosity?
John. Great question.
Yeah. You guys have some ideas.
I hope Pete just plugs his Patreon.
So just sign up to
Pete, if you don't call it your Patreon, I'll be so fucking pissed.
So good, Joe. So good.
Well, you know, I mean, if you want to be taken seriously, you probably shouldn't do that.
I keep going to patreon.com. There's nothing there.
Yeah, I mean, the very small things are family members who you feel different from. I see online a lot of people, whenever they have family members who think differently, they kind of almost want to kind of distance themselves, but actually maybe they're the very person you actually want to go and buy a drink for and go, listen, your granddad, listen, we're very different. Can I buy you a pint and we'll sit and we'll talk about it?
It's kind of like when the movie Ants came out and then Bug's Life came out, and you were like, man, I guess I should see what both of these bug movies are about.
Is that what it's like?
I'm sorry. I'm trying to... Because they're both bug movies. But why are they different? How are they different?
Yeah, is there room at the table for both bug movies?
Like, what if we watch both bug movies?
Double feature.
That's beautiful. That was beautiful. That'll preach. That's
Jesus. Don't encourage him. Don't encourage this demon sitting over here. Yeah, but you're right. It is better to kind of like. I remember when they're in the height of Donald Trump, heat, I guess. Oh, yeah. That there was the Donald, that Reddit, that subreddit that is now gone. But I remember like going there and like reading posts and comments, and most people just seem kind of like us, but I mean us in the sense of who kind of what our beliefs
still Republican,
still Republican, but on the fence. Yeah. But I felt like it was important to like not completely block that out.
Yeah.
Because I mean, even though it's like hurtful and harmful ideology in most of the posts and comments, it was like, but they also believe so hard in their convictions, and I believe so hard in my convictions, and it just kind of makes the line a little easier to see, I guess.
Yeah. And then there's so much there's so much projection that we all do as well. Sometimes we project the parts of ourselves that we don't like onto somebody else. And if that person is particularly bad, it's easy to do. We don't even realize we're doing it because they're very good for the projection. But sometimes I will get angry and say someone else is intolerant and angry and horrible. But it's actually, there's a part of myself, that's intolerant and angry and horrible. And I'm actually weirdly poking at them and then making them, it's almost like I say to you, you're angry, and I'm not angry, you're angry, and I keep telling you you're angry until you shout at me and I go, look, you're angry, right?
It's like
Elliot, you're a bad father to Hayden. Yep. Do better. Spend more time. Meet her on her level. You
just hold up a mirror, Elliot. Just hold up a mirror.
Fucking suck. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Joe, I think you might
get a haircut.
Okay.
Well, that's exactly it. That's exactly, we project.
Take your sweatband off, and that plaid looks stupid. Red plaid, we're both wearing plaid.
In that same way, it's kind of interesting that, like, you know, like Twitter ended up like banning Donald Trump and banning like a lot of people, and then like forcing people to go to like their own platform, which will end up being kind of like a bad, like I feel like they created a bad divide by doing that. Because like, although I believe that spreading hate and utilizing a public forum to spread hate is a bad thing inherently, it's like I want it gone for sure, but I don't want to censor people because I want to hear what people are saying and I want to know that I'm not crazy. You know, but it's like I haven't heard about Donald Trump. I haven't seen Donald Trump. I haven't seen like really that much like hate being spewed. And I think it's because like they certainly kicked a lot of those people off of like these certain platforms. But it's like now I'm not seeing these like other
sterilized.
It is truly sterilized,
and it's still there. It's a brewing.
I mean, it's certainly there, but it's not like it was. And I'm wondering if it's like, I mean, is that how it should be?
I also think it depends a lot on where you're at in life. Like if you're in a particular like transitory stage of your existence, I don't think there's anything wrong with being like, I'm gonna get all this stuff off for right now. I don't need to see any of this right now. But then later, I think it's good when you're like a little bit more open, a little bit more sound to kind of, you know, let the door.
Yeah, I guess it's just like if there should just be at least one person in your life that thinks a little differently than you, right?
Yeah.
Like someone that you keep a little close, like, but you know, at a safe distance, obviously, if they're dangerous. in whatever way. But it does seem like if you shut out every possible chance of hearing conflicting ideologies, then you're creating a harmful environment.
Yes. You create monsters. You honestly create monsters. In Northern Ireland, we had a 30-year war, and it was largely...
How long was it?
The weirdest joke I think Joe's ever said.
I think Joe's having a stroke.
Big fan of that line, Joe.
But,
How long
but
was it?
we were so separated from each other, and we demonized, all sides were demonizing the other, and the thing happened is we didn't start liking each other. It wasn't that everybody started to go, listen, we're all just different, let's all get and sing Kumbaya. It was just that we're going to destroy each other if we don't sit in the same room and try and work this out politically.
Yeah.
And so the Good Friday Agreement was when the Republican paramilitaries and the Loyalist paramilitaries and the Irish government and the British government all came together and sat in the same room, and we're going like, well, we do hate each other, and we think that each other are responsible for deaths, murders, injustices, but if we don't sit round the table, we're going to end up killing everybody.
Wow.
And it took that much, and so much happened. So we took apart the police force. So we decommissioned the police and set up a new police force, and we got rid of the border, and we did all these very radical things. But it was because we realized
hit the reset button.
Hit the reset button, and it was just because we'd got so into our own isolated bunkers and so apart from each other. And
wow, that will never happen here. I feel like, right? Like,
I mean,
do
they
you
probably
think that'll
felt
never
they probably
happen
felt
here?
that way too, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, we're
We're
the
pretty
U.S.
big. We're big.
You're big.
We're big.
You're big.
and the U.S. is so. It's just the roots are so deep.
We could sit down
In,
with
like, corruption.
Yeah, California and Nevada could maybe come to like an agreement.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
That's about it.
Yeah, it just seems like there's so much like personal interest in the way things are that like it would be nearly impossible to hit the reset button here. But man, that's such a wonderful thing that happened there for you guys.
But
it sucked that it took a lot of terrible shit to get there.
Yeah, and that's the issue. Like, if things get worse and worse, and then for worst case scenario, there's a civil war, then radical things can happen. But it might take 10 years of civil war, and I don't want to see that happen in the US. I live in the US. I want to somehow. That's why I'm hoping that as things open up, we start go back to bars. We start to rub shoulders with different people. We start to go for lunch with that family member that we're a bit different from, or that old best friend from school who thinks politically different from me, and just start to look around and go, right, yes, I don't even have to find new people. That's the thing. There's lots of people in our lives who are different, and how do I start to reconnect with them? And as you're saying, like, it's fun. It's actually fun when you go for a drink with that friend. If you're a Democrat and you've got that Republican friend in school and you wrote him off during this whole kind of chaos and go like, actually, I'm going to phone them up, go for it, buy them dinner, and
it's
have a chat.
Yeah, it's like you go to a bar and you run into like someone who's like a cast member on SNL, like Cecily Strong or something.
Just off the top of your
you
head.
start rubbing up against them, but in like a cute way. What would you make of that kind of thing, Pete?
It's interesting. See, you always have to look out for words. Strong. Her name is Strong.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So that kind of hits me, and you were kind of So anyway, I'm still thinking about the dream.
I know. What a dream.
I'm getting further, and
It's also kind of like when you find out your Uber driver is racist, and you're like, "Let me hear what this guy has to say." I mean, you can't escape, and you don't want to be there, and you instantly write them off. But you're like, if I'm gonna be in this car and have to listen to this, I'll at least like hear what this other human that probably thinks they're the center of the universe has to say.
And by the way, it sounds crazy at first to say, but right, a lot of people, well, it doesn't really, a lot of people troll. So so even with the Last Supper, I remember there was a guy from the Ulster Humanist Society came, and the Ulster Humanist Society at the time were very, very kind of almost fundamentalist secular, like they hated religion. And so they were in the room, and he was so uptight because there were some people who were religious in the room, and he was so uptight and was saying all the terrible things that religion had done. And then all the people who were religious were going, yeah, that's terrible. In fact, it's worse than that. This is what the church did as well. And what they did is they started to disarm it. And he started to feel more and more relaxed. And he was like, "Listen, I'm sorry." He says, I'm my back's up. I'm probably trying to piss you off. I'm fighting some part of my own childhood, And we started to have this conversation. And after it, he invited me onto a debate with on his side, the Ulster Humanists against some Christians in the university. But what happened is this relationship developed. But at the very start, it sounded like he was completely intolerant of anybody who had religious beliefs.
Listen.
They were just stupid. They were just dumb. They believed in a fairy tale. But as soon as some of the people around the room said, "Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, maybe I'm just religious because it was how I was brought up, and I don't know if God exists or anything like that," then he was able to lower his defenses and go, "Yeah, I'm not so sure myself." So what we think of as people who are intolerant are often just have their defenses up.
I relate to that on a personal level because I was forced into Catholicism basically and went to Catholic school for 9 years and was like, kind of like indoctrinated into that. And then I remember there was a period of my life where I was just like, "Oh, I don't want this.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea that there's some man watching me doing shit all the fucking time."
Yeah.
And then judging me for doing things that are like pleasurable or happy or things that my heart are telling me I should do.
Yeah.
And it was like,
You were 4 years old.
I was 4 years old. I was like, I
peanut
just
butter
want to
thing?
jerk off.
No, the
But
natural
like,
yogurt, yeah.
right, you know what I mean? And this was before I could make semen, so it was like a little weird. But the point I'm trying to make was just like,
This stand-up show is weird.
there was a big time. There was a big chunk of my life where I was like, I am an atheist.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like God. I don't want God. I hate God.
Yeah.
Like, I think all of that's bullshit. And then I ended up growing and learning and meeting so many people. And it's like, okay, maybe I'm not atheist. Maybe I'm agnostic. Maybe it's like, maybe there's something, whether it's science or religion or whatever. Maybe there's some higher power. I don't, but I came to a decision that I don't know enough.
Yeah.
I don't know enough in either direction.
And even if you did, you got to the point where you weren't, because we're always fighting our own demons. Whatever it is, we're fighting ourselves. And you got to a point where necessarily you were fighting that part of your past because it was within you. You'd been indoctrinated, this part inside you that you were fighting. And then it got to a point where you were able to let that go.
Totally.
So it's like you can have your position, but the position's no longer got kind of that tension,
Right.
Yeah, that's it. It's like,
because I got humbled a little bit from people that are like, but you don't know. Like, you just don't know. And it's like, I mean, I guess there's science that there's like research that shows that like we're leaning more towards no, there isn't a God or whatever, but there isn't really like what's the word I'm looking for? Unsubstantiated proof, or what's the word I'm looking for? There isn't like exactly. There isn't like hard evidence. And it was like it took a lot of talking to people and meeting new people, like extreme like fun.
Have you ever seen a baby horse take its first steps?
Like in real life or on a TV show?
Either one.
Have you ever looked at a waterfall?
have you ever smelled a daisy?
Have you ever seen Kevin take down a full Nature Valley granola bar?
Yes.
And
Bites right through it. Yeah, it's crazy.
But yeah, like I remember, but totally like meeting people and being around people and going to jobs where I was like working with people that were all different types of people was truly where I was like, oh, well, everybody has different opinions and here's all this shit that's helpful for my own life.
And the funny thing is, I know in America, this is a big thing where people who are religious often talk about a god as some object out in the world, like this bottle or, whatever, the things that are around us. But
You just point to the other bottle.
yeah, I know, there's not much in it.
Or say another bottle.
Or
bottle.
Elliot.
Yeah.
shit, I think God might be a bottle.
That's the secret. But actually, within a lot of the theological tradition, God is a name for simply the ground of being. So God is not an object. So God is not some being or thing. God is a name for.
It should be gob.
Gob,
Right.
yes,
Grind,
gob.
grind of being.
The grind.
Yeah. Somebody fucked up with the translation.
I also like Pete's accent makes it sound like it says bean.
The ground of being.
Ground of bean.
Back to the burrito.
Yeah.
But that means, like, if you take that perspective, it's like it's not someone saying, "Oh, God exists or doesn't exist." More, they're saying that we need to sensitize ourselves to a certain transcendent mystery. And so that, again,
Yes.
that's very, very different from these arguments about whether some being up in heaven exists. Most religious philosophers have rejected that as strongly as new atheists.
That's great, yeah. Because I mean, I feel like I respect people. Like Neil deGrasse Tyson is like seemingly super atheist, right? Like he's very much like God doesn't exist.
I think the only thing I've ever
Mike
seen
Tyson?
from him.
He's
there you go. Yeah. Well, it's just that like when there's some scientific, like you're right. Maybe
He says agnostic because he doesn't want to be put in like a box. If he says if I say atheist, it like shuts the conversation down.
Yeah.
So he says or agnostic. That's what I saw him say. But I don't know.
Yeah, but it's more respectful, or it's more. I like respect that more because it's like even this incredibly smart guy who dedicated his life to science is saying he doesn't know, so, which is like beyond our comprehension. Like I don't know half of the shit Neil deGrasse Tyson knows. So it's like you have to respect that someone who's like so fucking intelligent, so smart is saying I don't know. It's like, okay, I respect that because it's like, you know, that guy even doesn't want to be someone that doesn't know something. He loves to be the first guy that's like, well, a star is this or like whatever. So it's interesting when it's humbling. It's nice to see very smart people go, oh.
I unfollowed him recently on Twitter. I don't want that filth on my timeline.
I think people misunderstand Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah?
I think that like people love to like joke on how cringy his content
It's when
is.
he bit someone's ear off, didn't he?
Did he?
In a fight
That's
once?
Mike Tyson. That's Mike Tyson.
We can by this, he just means the transcendent sort of mystery.
I was like, holy shit, what did I miss? What did Neil deGrasse Tyson? I think people misunderstand it. I think he's trying to be funny.
He's got big
and
tattoos.
People are that's the
on
guy.
his face. Yeah, that's right. I know the one
and
you
he
mean.
was in the what's that Vegas movie
Hangover.
with the Hangover. Yeah. But it's like I truly think people are misunderstanding his tweets as like kind of jokes, and instead they're like, "Fuck you for you smarty pants." Like I think people are just like upset at his like attempt at jokes.
I went through a phase where I would just reply to all of his tweets, being like, "Oh, shut the hell up." I truly was not meaning it in any way. I just thought it was a funny thing.
But the thing is like I think that's the
Mike Tyson.
But that's the attitude towards him. I think like in the zeitgeist, I think people are like, shut up.
Nowadays, I stopped doing it. I was ahead of the curve. I was
right.
trying real hard.
But I think that it's like obviously like it's fine to say that, but I think it's just like I think people don't understand that he's just trying to be funny. He's trying to be relevant. He's trying to be like the hip science guy.
It's funny because philosophy and science have different ways of using the term. So he's using the term agnostic as a scientist, because in philosophy you can use the word atheist in a much more strong way. So, but that's a difference between the scientific and the philosophical discipline.
We're nearing the hour, and I don't want to keep you too long. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to let people know where the heck they can find your stuff. Wow. And it is an opportunity for you to plug your Patreon, despite what Joe said earlier.
Patreon.
Steve's been holding a grudge against Joe for 40 minutes.
I mean, that joke was out of line.
It was. You're not wrong. I just think it's time to forgive.
So how long was the war?
Yeah. 30-year war. How long was it? God.
Sorry, guys. Sorry.
Well, you can find obviously loads of free stuff online on YouTube. Listen to the Fundamentalists, and also free. And there's loads of stuff out there, hundreds of hours of material. And if you like it, then I do courses and book studies, and I'm doing an online festival actually in a couple of weeks called Wake that you can come to as well. So
nice.
And he's written several books, which you can find on bookstores.com.
What would be the first book that they should pick up of yours if they were to pick up a book?
I don't know. Maybe my last one, it's called The Divine Magician. That's probably the one that most encapsulates. No.
That's not the one. No, it's great. I just like how
that's the second one you should read.
That's the second one. I like how not to speak of God. I think that's a very good one.
But I stopped writing. I stopped writing years ago. I've been going on the online stuff. But I'll get back to writing again.
What's the parables one? That's my...
Orthodox Heretic.
That's a really good one.
Or a little comic book.
Orthodox Heretic, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I remember.
I also have I wanted to know what you thought about this.
Is he getting his penis out?
Oh, what's happening? Oh, my goodness. Look at that little guy.
That is beautiful. I don't think I've ever seen anything so beautiful.
That's a little white owl in a Blue Nest.
It's good to be back.
Don't worry, we're doing something here. God damn it! What do you want?
Has he lost his mind?
This is his best friend.
Oh,
I'm worried for Steve.
hang on. Something's happening here. Oh, here we go. Yeah.
Is it gonna
Explode?
I think it's gonna.
No, it's not going to fly. Oh my god.
What?
Oh, it's dead.
Okay, that was worth it.
right.
Actually, I take it back. That was amazing.
Well, guys, thank you so much for listening to the Valleycast today.
It just started firing bullets.
It just killed us. What an awesome time having you here, dude. That was really fun.
That was great. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for blowing our minds once again. I seem to remember us being very enamored by what you had to say last time, and I think it happened again.
We won't be uploading this one.
No, this is a test, and I don't think it worked. But thank you for coming. It was awesome. To our patrons, we thank you. If you're not a patron of the Valleyfolk, you go to patreon.com/Valleyfolk, and also we do this every week. You can get this on YouTube. You get it on where you get your podcasts. And if you're a patron, you get it earlier than anybody else. So you get in on the jokes and the fun before everybody else. What else, Joe? Some kind of movie game thing?
Yeah, let's go to bit.ly.com/movie game, and we're still doing pre-orders for that. We just dropped People. Maybe that'll turn into something soon. This is nice.
It's nice.
You could watch our I think if our body language at the start. We were all very like this. We all started to loosen up. You could do a time lapse of the episode and watch us loosen up. But it's been very nice sitting and talking with all of you. Thank you for coming in, Pete.
Thank you so much, Pete.
Thank you, Pete. You're a great time, my friend.
Thank you.
Let's get some shepherd's pie now.
Let's get some
Shepherd's pie.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
All right,
All right, we have a dick kickers meeting to get to. So.